guys, California Phantom here. The folks over at Autel Robotics just released a beta version of their firmware for the Autel Evo. Let's talk about it. So many of the complaints that folks were having with the Autel Evo, Autel Robotics really addressed with this firmware. First being the descent wobble, or as I like to call it, the stanky leg. So the descending wobble that we were experiencing with the Evo wasn't necessarily a cause for concern. It didn't cause any accidents that I'm aware of. Nobody's really reported an issue. It more just was a stability issue. I don't think people get a lot of confidence when they're descending rapidly with their Evo and it has a lot of shake to it. The only true issue with the Evo up until this point is the jittery gimbal. Now, if any of you own the Evo, you're doing automatic flight modes, particularly orbits, you're flying around objects manually, not in an automatic flight mode, you're going to experience a jittery effect with the camera. The gimbal does not take up for it. It's something that the X-Star, the previous generation drone from Autel, suffered with. Autel kind of abandoned that drone. I don't believe they've released any firmware updates to address it on the X-Star. So people were concerned that this problem on the Evo would stay. I'm pleasantly surprised and happy to announce with this firmware, it completely resolves this issue. Orbit now is buttery smooth, just like the Mavic 1, the Mavic 2. You're not gonna have any problems with manual orbits or automatic flight mode orbits. The gimbal pans and scans completely smooth, no issues. I know many of you have been reaching out to me asking me about the rear obstacle avoidance with this beta firmware. I can confirm to you guys today that the obstacle avoidance in the rear has not changed at all. You still get the auditory warning, you still get the visual warning, which should be enough for most people. But if you ignore the auditory warning and you ignore the red heat map that shows that you're going to strike something in reverse, you will ultimately strike it. Now, the front obstacle avoidance still works. It still forcibly, automatically stops your drone, but unfortunately, as of this date, September 13th, firmware does not allow the drone to automatically stop in reverse. So what's the conclusion on the Autel Evo? You got a little tiny bag that fits everything. My ND filters, 3 batteries, controller, the drone itself, and a cell phone. $9.99 price point. So you get 4K 60 frames. It's the only drone at that size that provides that. The thing that I like the most is when they have an issue, when you have an issue with the drone, like the ascent wobble, even though it didn't affect the footage, they still took the time to edit the firmware, to tweak the settings, to remove that problem. That says a lot about a company. So the only true issue they had with this camera is the jitteriness in the gimbal when you were in orbit mode, either automatic orbit mode or just horizontally flying, trying to fly around something. They addressed this with this firmware. I can't say enough good things about Autel, and if you guys are dissatisfied or you have some issues with DJI, like I have with returning my Phantom 4 Professional, expecting them to replace a brittle, defective plastic shell with a new one that's under warranty, and told that I have to now pay for it out of my own pocket. If you're a little bit disenfranchised with the way DJI is handling past situations or other people, maybe friends of yours, that have had bad luck with DJI, I can tell you that Autel is the answer. I hope, and as I see this drone develop and continue to develop, Autel Robotics is the only drone company, in my opinion, that's going to give DJI a run for its money. I hope that you guys support it. If you are considering getting a Mavic 1 or even a Mavic 2, consider getting yourself an Autel Evo instead. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. The beta firmware on the Autel Evo addresses the major concerns. If you guys are interested in possibly getting one, you've been on the fence about it, seeing the negative things with the jitteriness, with the descent wobble, understand that Autel's working on it. The beta firmware completely fixes that, so when the final build releases in a next week or two, all these issues should be fixed. And really, I don't see beyond this anything else that Autel would really need to do, but they're definitely constantly working. They're paying attention to us, which is the most important thing. So if you guys are on the fence about getting that Mavic 2, maybe a Mavic 1 because it's significantly cheaper, that $999 price point for that Autel Evo is definitely the way to go. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like and subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, we're giving away tons of merchandise on this channel, so continue tuning in for that, and we'll see you on the next adventure.